Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. That was loud. It's been a while. I'm on a hiatus. I don't even know how to control my voice. I'm yelling into the mic. But welcome back. Glad to see y'all. Don't forget, do us a favor, support the channel, smash that subscribe button. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, still on TikTok. I guess that's still going. Reddit and Discord. Check us out there. Also, don't forget Blue Sky. We're there as well. And don't forget to leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Yeah, Blue Sky is pretty cool. It's pretty chill. Everyone's freaking out that, oh, my Twitter feed is not whatever, and Facebook. You know what? Just press, I don't want to see this anymore. It cleans it right up. I did that for like half an hour on the channel. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. No more Trump garbage or anything. So I'm happy. Just do that for half an hour and you'll be fine. No need to freak out. But let's get into some Blue Bomber talk. Still don't have an OC. Bombers still don't have an OC. Who should be the Bombers OC?
I'm just looking at the date here first. What are we, 2 weeks away from free agency? 3 weeks, I guess.
We're pretty darn close to it.
Yeah, that's kind of close without having an OC at this point. It seems like everywhere else in the CFL has kind of solidified their positions, their coaches, and all that stuff. And no one else is really looking but the Bombers. I don't know at this point. Really, I'm kind of shocked that they didn't go in-house. I mean, they may still go in-house with some of the guys they have left, the running back coach or their O-line coach, Marty Costello. I know they've requested an interview with Mike Miller from the Argos. That'd be crazy having two Mike Millers on the coaching staff. But I didn't hear anything about that, right? And then you talked about quite a bit, Jarius Jackson, who's still out there. So at this point, I don't know. And I don't know what else your other options are besides keeping it in-house or one of those two guys.
I still think, and I was of the mind to go with Jarius Jackson, but then I think mid-episode, it was last time we talked about it, Pete Costanza. I'm still on that Pete Costanza train. He's just been part of a great staff in Toronto. He knows the Bombers well because he was part of the Bombers staff before. So I think bring him in. He'll bring some fresh ideas from a winning system. And he still has some familiarity with the team. So that's my thing. Like, it's really taking a long time now. And you think going into free agency, you'd want to have your OC there set and comfortable. So, I'm slowly coming off, not slowly, I'm off the Jarius Jackson because it's just the unfamiliarity. The potential, great to get the running game going, fine. But I think they should bring in Pete Costanza already. A bit of familiarity and some fresh ideas in both.
Yeah, maybe with free agency, it won't be that critical really for the guy because your old line's pretty much basically back, except for a couple guys. Your wide receivers, it all depends what they end up doing with Lawler or Dalton Schoen. Otherwise, everyone's back and they added a new guy in Dillon Mitchell. And your running back's going to be the same, right? So there's not a lot of things to change on the offensive side of things. So maybe that won't affect the OC, and that's maybe why they're taking their time with this and not in really any rush. I know O'Shea said he wants to get it done before free agent starts, because obviously you do want that guy's opinion on what you should do. Yeah. I would look to get it. I'd probably look at them getting it done before that, but I could see why they're not in a rush with it a little bit. Would
you consider Marcus Howell?
That'd be interesting. The only problem is he hasn't called plays before, has he?
He took on some responsibility when Jarius Jackson was promoted to head coach. He's been a passing game coordinator. He's been a running game coordinator. So he's seen both sides of the offense there. I think it would be a risk taking a play caller that young, but you also have a very veteran quarterback.
Yeah, this is going to be a pressure year for me, and O'Shea's got to get this right because the Grey Cup's at home, and yes, they may not end up playing in there, but you actually want to see them compete and have an opportunity to actually play at home and kind of not flame out because the offense can't get it together because they got a new guy running it and the pieces that have been here forever are used to an older system, right? So he's got to get this right and he's got to make sure this offense is off and running because we saw it sputter at points last year. It looked good at some points and it sputtered, and it sputtered in the biggest game of the year, unfortunately.
And they started the season off horribly.
Yeah.
With a lot of continuity, and there won't be that continuity there with Buck Pierce gone, with Kevin Bourgoin gone, and possibly some offensive talent gone.
Yeah.
So we might be looking at a slow start again this season. At least this time, I won't be as surprised.
Well, yes, exactly. Last year was a shock to the system, but yeah, this year it'd be like, okay, let's see what happens.
especially with Buck Pierce having another year. You'd think that he'd have something rolling and a good game plan going, but it looked pretty clueless for the first, what was it, 6 weeks? They were at 2-4 after 6 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
It was really bad. So maybe losing Buck Pierce isn't a bad thing.
No, I mean it'd be good. You got a bit of a clean slate here coming up now, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's one way to look at it and good way to look at it. Unless they go in house, then it's probably gonna be almost the same system. But yeah, it sputtered at times, not only last year but the year before even, right?
Mhm.
So it wasn't always smooth. So yeah, we got to look to that, and then that's what was the problem last year with it starting out slow and the defense still getting together because of all the new pieces and trying to figure things out until they really started going. We needed that offense to be top notch, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, it started off slow, which also affected the defense, which also affected the win loss column. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go on this.
It'd be interesting to see how the receiving core shakes out and how kind of a year they have. They still haven't gotten Lawler. They still haven't gotten Schoen. They lost Ontario Wilson to the New York Jets. And they've lost the receiving coach and Kevin Bourgoin. How much of a loss do you think that'll be losing that coach and still not solidified the receiving core?
Well, that's interesting. Like between the running backs where he first started, Andrew Harris had some great seasons.
Yeah.
With the wide receivers last year, Pokey Wilson, like you said, is going to the Jets to try out for the Jets. Over 1,000 yards rookie season. Dembski with Bourgoin as his coach, 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Kenny Lawler, obviously always performing at a high level. Dalton Schoen, 1,000 yards in his rookie years. And last year, Wheatfall and Claricius also had very good seasons. I know Wheatfall was hurt for a bit, but they were reliable, right? And Wolotarski's also been reliable over that time. So it's going to be interesting there because I think he'll do well with BCs. He's heading to a team with very good receivers right now,
Yeah.
also. And Justin McInnes is right now still the free agent, so we'll see what happens there. And going back to it, I think that's where the receiver market and who said it, Ed Hervey from the Elks. That wide receiver market kind of needs to reset. You're not going to be paying these guys $250,000, $300,000. The Bombers had multiple guys making that kind of money, and it didn't help them win the Grey Cup. So I think it's going to reset a little bit, and I think each team is kind of going to wait to see what Geno Lewis signs for, what Kenny Lawler signs, or Schoen or Justin McInnes before the other teams kind of jump in.
Geno Lewis cannot be the highest paid receiver in this league right now.
No.
And
I agree.
Totally credit Ed Hervey for being patient on that because the receiving market is getting ridiculous. And you look at the Bombers and they're continuously bringing in receiving talent. Schoen, Ontario Wilson, like you mentioned all them, Wolotarski. All these guys they've been able to unearth. Yes, they're missing Ted Gouveia now. He's in Hamilton, but they still got Danny Mac, and they still brought in some new scouts. They brought in the ex-GM from Edmonton. Is it Sutherland?
Brock Sutherland, right?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of his drafting, but he knows talent well. So let's hope they can unearth some more receiver talent and wishing Kevin Bourgoin the best in BC, although it sucks to lose him.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still kind of shocked with how the whole thing went down. It was especially with the loyalty the Bombers kind of show, but maybe that loyalty is more on the player side than the coach's side. I thought they'd probably keep it in house and keep that thing rolling, at least with the Grey Cup coming up, kind of thing. So it was kind of a bit shocking to see him go. But yeah, I have faith in O'Shea. O'Shea's done well over his time here. He's hired the right coaches. He knew when to kind of move off Richie Hall and go to Jordan Younger. So hopefully he makes the right choice here.
Speaking of players and signings, let's look at some of the signings the Bombers have made over the past few weeks since we've been on hiatus. Let's start with the offensive line, Stanley Bryant and Pat Neufeld. What are your thoughts on that? I think many folks know my thoughts on the Pat Neufeld signing.
Yeah, I like them. I like Neufeld if it's more of a depth signing and it's a good deal because I'm feeling his age is getting to the point where, father time is starting to catch up, right? And he was injured last year, but he also struggled at times last year.
Yeah.
And we talked about Gabe Wallace. We like Gabe Wallace coming in, or
Liam Dobson they got to
Kendall
sign
Randolph.
Where's Liam Dobson? This guy is all West.
That's the thing that I think he's probably looking in and from reading the tea leaves of Kyle Walters' press conference there. I think Dobson is probably waiting for free agency to see where his market is. He's a Canadian guy, like you said, all West. He's going to wait and see what he can get Canadian in that O-line market. And those guys are getting paid here and there, right?
I
We've seen
hope
teams
they
do it. So
I hope they made a push and he's like, nah, I'm gonna wait. And then they sign Neufeld just in case,
yes,
rather
that's
than the
what I'm
primary
thinking.
priority. I
Right.
hope that's the case because man, to lose Liam Dobson right now for this final run, I don't think would be good for the O line. And Gabe Wallace is ready to go. I think the way that he blocked as a halfback or a fullback last year, the way he's able to move with the block, I think he's ready to go. I'm really looking forward to Gabe Wallace being on that line.
Yeah, but you still got a decision to make at right tackle. Eric Lofton still is unsigned too. So is one of these guys able to play that? We saw Kendall Randolph last year coming in and play solid as a relief guy.
Yeah.
Is he ready to take that next step and be a full-time guy? And who is that right tackle going to be if it's not Lofton?
I hope they keep Randolph. He's such a versatile offensive lineman. I was really scared when they put him on the PR last year that someone would pick him up going late into the season / the playoffs. So I'd love to see him back because of his versatility. And of course, Lofton picked up his game as the season went on.
Yep. Yeah, he wasn't a liability out there at all. We weren't ever talking maybe early in the season, but late in the season, we weren't even talking about him giving up big plays or anything like that.
Absolutely. How about Stanley Bryant?
Yeah, I like it. Again, he is obviously getting also older as well, so injuries could creep up on him. But he's still minus the injury last year, not really the injury, but the issue that he had last year. He was still playing at a decent high level,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I'm good with that. Again, depending on money, but I'm good with Stanley probably getting more than Neufeld.
It was great that they got Willie Jefferson locked down, especially after that Grey Cup performance. And of course, he wants to be here. He's such a great leader. He's such a staple in the community. Him and his wife, Holly, involved heavily in the organization. So I'm glad he's back. I hope they paid him what he deserves. And I'm sure he's one of those players where he probably would have left some money on the table.
Yeah, I think he was signed around 200 or at 200. I mean, so which is he's good with. Otherwise he probably could have got more if he wanted to, like
Yeah.
you're saying. But this to me is a no-brainer. He was their best player in the Grey Cup. He was really the only one that showed up for all 60 minutes kind of
Mhm.
thing, giving the Bombers an opportunity to win. So to me, they need to get someone though on the other side that's a little bit more consistent and that can bring the heat along with him. Because you know what, we saw it. We paid how much on receivers? It didn't help us win the Grey Cup.
Mhm.
Toronto D line linebackers were killer in that game, and it helped them win the Grey Cup. You need a D line that can disrupt the quarterback and the other O line.
Yeah, Garbett. He was a great rusher across from Willie Jefferson after he came back from missing. He was a good chunk of the season, like
Yeah.
6, 7 games to start the year off. But I even would be willing to hold off on signing him, and I'm a little surprised that they already signed Jake Thomas. I get the loyalty, yes, but really, I wouldn't be spending that much on the D line until I can make a push for Serezna if he hasn't been
Yeah.
signed yet. I think him and Willie Jefferson on the same line would be deadly. And we see that D line now is becoming the force in the CFL, especially the way Toronto did it. You had an 8-man rotation on the D line. Like that's where it is, where you can wear out that O line late in the game and you still have a pass rush going on. So I kind of would hold off on Jake Thomas to see if Serezna ever even hits the market. Where's Jake Thomas going to go? No disrespect to him. Great career.
Yeah, and again, hopefully that is another low, money signing kind of thing. But like you said, when the Bombers beat Hamilton in that first Grey Cup, what do they have? That D line was just like that. Guys can rotate in. You had Jefferson and Jeffco, then you had Kongbo. Who else was there? Richardson, right?
Yeah.
You had guys that can come in and rotate and keep that thing fresh. The last few years, it's been Willie Jefferson needs to be on the field constantly, and the other
Absolutely.
guys could rotate, but otherwise it was Jake Thomas, especially with Cam Lawson getting hurt. Those guys didn't rotate very much, and you didn't have enough depth there to trust guys to come in and play that. So yes, again, focus on that D line. We need another guy or a couple more guys that could cause havoc.
And you could double Jefferson and not worry about the rest.
Yes. Yeah.
Jamal Parker signed. I think it's a great signing to solidify
Yeah.
that secondary, especially possibly maybe losing a corner on that side with Terrell Ford. So I think it's great to solidify with Jamal Parker. He's a great talent. I know he's on the older side of his career, but he had a solid. I just love Jamal Parker. Solid. What do you call those? Lunch pail. Coming to work, does his job. Always dependable.
Yeah, it's too bad he was injured all last season, didn't get to play with the knee injury and all that. But he had good, solid moments the season before and before that. He hasn't played a full season yet for the Bombers, just games here and there. But like you say, with Tyrell Ford probably gone, either to the NFL or even CFL if someone's going to toss a lot of money at him. Who knows what will happen there? So good for that secondary. They need guys back there, and he's a good player.
How about Kyrie Wilson? Speaking of players who were injured, what are your thoughts on that signing?
Yeah, this is another one to me that I could wish they would hold off on and see where things where the chips lay after, maybe even a couple days of free agency. The
Yes.
guy missed a lot last season,
Yes.
and missed games before. And right now you had Tony Jones and Reddick Cramby right now. And you still got possibly Big Hill out there depending on what happens and how he comes back from injury. So I don't see this needing to be a rush signing at this point.
Yeah, it's a little perplexing that they aren't leaning on their scouting to find a possible replacement there. If they do need a replacement, if not, if they don't have one in house already, I'm just too worried about the injuries. Going into last year, I didn't think he would have played again. He surprised me. He came back. But again, when you're dealing with that consistency of injury and the type of injury that he had, like that's going to have wear and tear. And that's why I didn't think he was coming back. And he did come back for a bit, but then again, he got injured again.
Yeah. And then he played the Grey Cup, right? But wasn't
no one was really
he did all right
effective.
actually in the Grey Cup from what I remember, didn't he?
No one was too effective on that defense.
No.
Willie Jefferson.
Wow. Yeah, exactly.
And also their offense gave Toronto great field position half the time anyways. How about Evan Holm?
You want to get back into that Grey Cup game?
We got time. We probably will again. Evan Holm, talking about the secondary, must sign, I believe. I think everyone believes that.
Yeah, for sure. I like the signing. Besides Willie, this is probably one of my other favorite signing, really. And he got some good money, 40,000 signing bonus. This is one of the few contracts that were actually reported, 40,000 and 135 in hard money, they call it. I guess that's guaranteed money. Yeah, so great season last year, getting better and better, over the last few seasons, been very consistent. So yeah, great signing there.
Yeah, I think he's a great guy, character guy. He's getting really involved in the community, has a family coming up, loves to be here. Definitely a great signing. New player.
He's from Minneapolis, so that's close by too. So that definitely helped with him signing because that keeps him close to family.
I think he went to UND as well.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Or NDSU, one of those two. New player, wide receiver, and possible returner, Dillon Mitchell from Edmonton. Thoughts on that signing?
Yeah, good signing, good numbers that he put up with Edmonton. So this to me kind of maybe comes in and takes care of the Wilson spot. That we're losing Wilson, 1,000-yard receiver, but we're getting a guy who, under only just 58 receptions, but 727 yards. And a good season in Edmonton, and now he'll come into a more stable situation with the same quarterback in Zach Collaros. And like you said, he can return kicks or punts if they need him to. So yeah, I like it.
Not a good sign for Lucky Whitehead.
No, and that's okay. Lucky, unfortunately, to me, came in last year. I liked him for a bit. Not that I don't like him. I liked him the game that he played for a bit, and then towards the end of the season, even his mistakes, fumbles on the kick return, punt returns, kind of soured me on him.
Absolutely, soured pretty much Bomber Nation on that.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Andrew Harris being the running back coach for the Roughriders? Fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. What is Bomber Nation? Some people, what's the drama about? The guy played in Toronto. He's very familiar with what's his name, the coach, the head coach, Toronto now. So it makes sense.
Him and AJ Ouellette are good friends actually too. So
there you go. And I heard he's poking around in Bomberland, but there's no dice.
No calls returned apparently, according to Jeff Hamilton of the Free Press. Yeah. So. I guess the way it ended for the Bombers and Harris still a bit rocky. Maybe one day Harris will come back. The funny thing is, you say about Bomber fans, it's Rider fans too, right? Because they obviously once Harris was suspended for PEDs and all that stuff, just ripped him, right? And even your buddy Ballsy has ripped him constantly. I know he's not.
Oh, what? Whoa! Who's buddy?
Yeah, your buddy.
Yeah, you better go somewhere with that bullshit. That guy's fucking.
I know he doesn't do color or commentary, I guess, for Saskatchewan anymore, but he's ripped Harris constantly. So it's funny, it's on both sides. Rider fans, some love it, some hate it. Other Bomber fans hate it, and some it's just okay. It's good for him. It's good to have young coaches. hey, if it was with the Bombers, it's even better. But he's in the CFL. He's coaching. Good for him. I hope it works out.
How can you be a Rider fan and hate it? Like, someone's bringing championship experience to your squad and you're going to hate it? You're going to be that petty?
Yeah.
Grow up. Give me a break. Initial thoughts on the CFL/Blue Bombers schedule. What catches your eye? You can go first.
And I don't want to complain about the schedule every year, but I'm going to anyways. Why is it so hard for the CFL to make a balanced schedule, like a close to balanced schedule? Like the week one bye, fine. Every team's probably gonna have to run into this, but then you get another bye in week 6, and then another bye not for 11 weeks. Could that not have been spaced out so each team has an even weeks of buys, like that they're not so spread out? That gives guys enough time to recover. You don't need 2 buys in the first 6 weeks of the season. Nobody's bodies are feeling it yet at that point.
No.
And then the back-to-backs. Why? BC in week 2 and 3, and then not for the rest of the season. Why? What are we doing here? We got Calgary 3 games, and we're done with them by week 10, I think.
August 9th.
Yeah. And then you got 2 games against Toronto. So you play, that's a back-to-back against Toronto. You play Calgary and Toronto in a matter of 6 weeks, because I think that bye week's in there. The same teams over 6-week spread.
It makes no sense.
Talk about your interest levels. Like where are they going to go, especially for one of the teams, say Calgary sucks, and you play them 3 times in that week and you just destroy them every time. Obviously I like watching the Bombers destroy teams, but I don't want to see that for 3 straight weeks or 3 out of 5 weeks kind of thing, So, yeah, I mean, the last 3 or 4 at home, maybe that's a good thing for the Bombers here. Yeah, that's one good thing I could take out of this whole schedule. But other than that, yeah, I'm not too excited about it.
After Banjo Bowl, the Bombers play 2 West teams to finish the season.
Out of 6 that was the other thing. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
There's playoff races going on, and you're gonna have Western teams go head to head all the way through. It doesn't make any sense. These schedule makers. How many of these buildings are really being used by other events? Toronto? Give me a break.
Which ones are really? Toronto? Do the Whitecaps play in BC Place? They must, right? Yes. So those are the only 2 probably.
But even then,
I mean, we got Valor playing in ours, but I'm sure they take the backseat to the CFL schedule. And same with Ottawa has a team, Hamilton, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
But I'm sure they all take a backseat. And it's like, here's the CFL schedule. Now do the CPL schedule, Canadian Professional League. So yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. But like you say, so we play BC in the first 3 weeks of the season twice, and then we don't play them again. But yet our final game is against Montreal, and we play Hamilton twice in the second half of the season, I believe, and Ottawa and Montreal, like all 3 of those teams, right? Why?
It's ridiculous.
It should be the other way around. I want to see Winnipeg play Calgary late in the season or BC late in the season, because you're battling for either a playoff spot or you're battling for a position, and you're playing up against your division teams, and that makes the rivalry bigger and better for me.
So. Absolutely. And as a fan, I want to see Winnipeg play Toronto earlier.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait till week 6 or 7 or 8 with the buys combined in there. That's the team the Bombers have problems with. The Argos have figured the Bombers out for the past 2-3 seasons. That's the litmus test. That's what I want to see earlier on to see where the Bombers are. And then they use all of the matchups in 2 weeks.
Yeah. That's the other thing.
Schedule makers.
Where's the Grey Cup rematch again? You did it last year with Montreal, Winnipeg, albeit it was in Winnipeg, which shouldn't have been. But yeah, get that week 1 matchup. Should be whoever played in that Grey Cup. That'll bring some hype to the league. But yeah.
I am happy that the Bombers played the Riders in the second last game of the year. That's a great stakes game. Other than that, there's not much I love. Banjo Bowl, Labor Day, we knew that would be there, but other than that, it's just a mishmash of trash.
5 times against Saskatchewan too, including the 2 exhibition games.
There's no other teams in the league to see what's going on preseason wise.
More expensive.
CFL schedule makers, please get it right one of these days.
Let us make it next year.
Oh no, I don't got time for that. Bomber fans, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like and don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, field, or in the stands with a custom airbrushed helmet, goalie mask, or any type of project. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431.
And don't forget to tell them that Ray and Benny sent you.
So the Jets started 15-1 and are kind of playing close to 500 hockey right now. In your opinion, who are the real Jets? You can go ahead.
I think this latest version, the closer to 500 team, is probably the real Jets in my opinion. Maybe a little bit better than that, but not the 15-1 team.
No.
You know, lately, this team has been relying on Helly to play lights out and win the game. They've relied a lot this season on Kyle Connor, Scheifele, and Velarde to get the job done and score their goals. And their D has struggled lately. And we got the same question with this Logan, Stanley, and all that, which I don't really want to get into again. But they're losing to teams lately that are either on the bubble of the playoffs or out of the playoffs. Remember we talked about this earlier in the year when we said, oh, the Jets are not playing down to these teams again. They're beating them. They beat Saskatchewan, San Jose good and all that. But their last few losses are Utah, Calgary, which is on the bubble, Red Wings, Anaheim Ducks twice, and Columbus, which was back probably in December or whatever. So to me, they're kind of getting back to that form, and they're middle of the pack. They'll be a playoff team because they started off so well. I thought they'd be a play. Well, what did I say? I didn't think they'd be a playoff team this year. I don't think. You know, so yeah, they're playing around the hockey that I kind of expected.
Yeah, I think it's that time of year where a team that plays a style of game that they play, heavy pressure, a good forecheck, all about possession in both sides of all over the ice. I think this is kind of what you expect at this time of the year, and I'm really glad that tournament's coming up because they are getting injured as well. The fatigue is showing. They went through a hellish road trip. Yes, they had 8 games at home in a row, but that's not easy to maintain either. And I'm not going to be too disappointed in them. They've also beaten great teams. They've taken care of the Avalanche. They've taken care of the Canucks aren't that great, to be honest with you. They should have been. But I'm not going to say that they're a close to 500 team. I think they're better than that. I don't think anyone expected them to continue to be a 15-1 team. That's impossible. That was just a great start to the season. And they took advantage of continuity and a nice new style of play and a much improved power play. So I think they're somewhere in between. I think if we're going to use winning percentage, I think they're a 750 team. I think they're made to go on a playoff run, but I think their legs are tired, and I think they're good for a rest right now and a long rest with this Four Nations tournament. Thank goodness. And thank goodness Mark Scheifele didn't make it on that team.
That's the other thing. The guy should have made it. But, you know, that top line, okay, you got Connor at 60, Scheifele 54, and then it drops to Velarde at 41, Ehlers at 40, and then there's a big drop off. This is not including Morrissey or Pionk. Like Lowry's at 26, and then it gets worse from there. You know, so you're not getting that depth of scoring or that balanced scoring. You're relying on those top guys to score. Otherwise, you're losing a game unless Hellebuck can allow 0 to 1 goals in that game.
Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, when Comrie comes in, I don't know what the Jets do, but they poop themselves usually in those games. And it's not on Comrie usually. Comrie usually plays well, and the Jets just struggle to score. But like you say, and to me, if an injury hit to Lowry, so Lowry's out, like what were you saying, a month, but it's week to week at least, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, now your center depth is really being tested right now. And if you were to lose Scheifele, Connor, Velarde, or Ehlers, you'd really be tested because there's not a lot on the Moose right now that you can call up. Chibrikov is now out for the year due to an injury, so he's done. Lambert has 3 goals only in 18 games, you know, with the Moose. So he's struggling. There's nothing there, you know, and I am not really ready for this team to give up a high pick or a prospect to try and get that second line center, which they definitely need. But for me, I just stop losing to the teams you should be beating.
Yeah.
Like you say, they beat Colorado. They've won some good games. against some hard teams, but they're losing these points to Utah, Calgary, Detroit, that they shouldn't be dropping. And, maybe hopefully after this Four Nations Cup, they get back to it and play a little bit better hockey. But right now they're struggling a bit.
Yeah, it definitely would be disastrous if they lost a player like Connor or Ehlers, but what other team wouldn't suffer if they lost their two top forwards? Even
Yeah,
Edmonton, if they lost McDavid, I won't say Leon Draisaitl because that's another forward that's better than anyone else. But let's say Hyman, if they lose those two, they're in trouble too. So I
true.
don't think
Very true.
yeah, they are so dependent on Hellebuck though. But he's an all-world goalie. It's like, of
Yeah.
course, Colorado was dependent on Patrick Waugh when they made those runs, and they had a great team. But if they didn't have Patrick Waugh, they wouldn't have won those cups.
No, you always need a goalie playing well, right? You're not going to win much without a goalie stopping critical shots.
Yeah, and I'm glad that what's his name took some of the blame for the playing badly against Utah. The coach took it on himself because sometimes you do got to step up, and you can't leave it to the room to pump themselves up. And maybe he took responsibility, or maybe he's deflecting responsibility. I'm not sure, but it was good to hear.
Yeah, I don't know how well those rants work. When Bowman went on his last year, I don't know how well that went. So we'll see. They're playing Colorado next, right?
Yeah,
I think that's tonight even.
tonight.
So
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, I guess
they're
it's
an
on right
hour
now.
in, bro.
Yeah, so totally forgot what it.
But he,
Forgot what time it was.
with Bowman putting it on the players, Arneal didn't do that. He
Yeah.
took it on himself to make sure they're prepared and emotionally invested and physically ready. So that was different.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
In your opinion, is Lowry the answer at 2C? I have no issue with him at 2C. The guy's been playing 2C minutes ever since last season. That his line has been playing against the number one lines against most teams. So he's been putting those minutes in. I would have no problem having him at 2C moving forward. Yeah. I think, is he the answer? I don't know. If you can find someone, obviously, you can score goals. Sure. But in regards to someone who can play the minutes, is a leader, and can change the energy of a game, I have no problem with him being 2C.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely played the minutes of 2C with his line of Appleton and Nino, but this is a different role in 2C, is where now you got to produce some points, right? And you got Nikolai Ehlers on that line with him, and they've started off well, and they look dynamic, and then obviously the injury sucks. Long term, I don't know how well that would have continued to work with Lowry and Ehlers. But interesting to me that Perfetti wasn't even on the line. It was usually Iafallo with them as well. So, if Perfetti's now been dropped down, I guess he was kind of always on the third line, but now he's on that non-scoring third line kind of thing, And then Niederreiter's done well. Niederreiter's got 13 goals, so it's not totally non-scoring, but
yeah.
But now you got Kupari centering it or whatever, or Gustafson. I'm not sure. I think it was Kupari actually on that lineup. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, they do need a better 2C. Vlad wasn't getting it done enough points wise, and Ehlers needs someone that can kind of keep up with him and go from there. Otherwise, they're not going to make it far. So I wouldn't mind seeing Lowry there for a bit longer after he comes back, but I don't necessarily think he's the answer either.
You know who I'd like to see at 2C?
Perfetti? Velarde.
Velarde. Please just give him a couple games at 2C to see what's up, especially with Lowry out now. And let's see if they can break up that line and continue scoring and maybe spread out some of the talent. And maybe that was a good move to Perfetti down to 3, so you have a little speed and a little hockey IQ. Not that they didn't have hockey IQ, you know what I'm saying? But bring his style down to line 3 and maybe put Velarde on line 2. Let him center the line and win some faceoffs. I don't know. I don't know why I'm obsessed with that, bro. I don't know.
Well, I think tonight, though, Iafallo was on the first line, and Velarde was dropped down with Ehlers and Nemestikov. So,
well, Nemestikov is well, we'll see.
We'll see where it goes.
So we're kind of actually backtracking in regards to are the Jets 500? Are they that 15-1 team as constructed right now, with Lowry being healthy? Because we're at a month injury, hopefully sooner at the week to week. But as constructed with Lowry, do you think the Jets can make a run for the Stanley Cup?
No. But with the caveat, obviously, if Hellebuck stands on his head and plays lights out in the playoffs, yes, they can, obviously. And most teams can do that if their goalie does. But Hellebuck, the way he's been playing this year, the guy leads every stat for goalies this year, right? It's been a crazy year for the guy. So if he can continue to do that into the playoffs, then they got a chance. But right now, where it's constructed, I don't think so. And we kind of talked about it. I mentioned it, balance scoring. They need a little bit more for some of these other guys. Injuries could obviously play a factor, and the D to me is still in flux.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about all the forwards and balance scoring, to me, it's still the defense. You got Josh Morrissey and Sandberg who have been solid,
Yeah.
consistent. You got Pionk, who's probably been better than last year, but still has his moments, and he's got a lot of points. And it's always funny to me because once these guys are in contract years, it seems like the points go up and their play goes up, right? Because he needs a contract next year. But then after that, I don't know if I trust that many other people after that. You had Fleury, you got your buddy Logan Stanley, Colin
Miller. Again, what? My buddy? How is this? These guys keep throwing this guy on the ice and he keeps making a mess of it. What is happening? Ugh.
It's the crazy. I don't know. Like, I know a lot of people and analytics guys like Nick Patan, Marco Dano, Sammy Nico, all those guys. But the consensus on Stanley is like everybody's kind of like, what is going on here, right? Yep. Analytics guys, non-analytics guys. Again, to the point of wondering why is he still in the lineup? Why does he continue to get chances?
Yeah.
The funny thing to me is Mike McIntyre from the Free Press. They interviewed Cheveldayoff. Cheveldayoff said he does not tell coaches who to put in the lineup. And I don't necessarily know if I believe him. This is the third coach now that continues to want Stanley in the lineup.
Yeah.
But so either we're all crazy or these coaches are, crazy. Maybe it's Chipman telling them to put him in the lineup. I don't know.
Are the coaches the one who reached for him in the draft?
No. That's the thing. No. So, yeah, exactly. That's why I don't necessarily believe Chevy on this at all. And you let go of some good defensemen that turned out Declan Chisholm and Kovacevic, right? Yeah. They've turned into solid NHLers. Like Chisholm's in the top 4 there. I think Kovacevic is as well. So, yeah, it's like beating a dead horse. It's like we're not going to get anywhere. Obviously, they can continue to play him over Heinola, over Miller now too. So
Heinola's done.
Heinola's done. But now you're playing him over Miller too, right? So it's just interesting. So I don't think that D, the way it's constructed, will help the Jets make it far.
I think as constructed, they could make a deep run in the playoffs depending on who they play in the first round. If they have to play Dallas or Colorado, I think they're cooked. If they can play Minnesota in the first round and get some momentum going, I like their chances. It's the first round that's been a hell of a ride for this team. They've just been outmuscled, outplayed. That Colorado series was embarrassing. But if they can get on a roll, you know what I'm saying, with a team they match up with well, like Nashville was a great team in 2017, 2018, or whatever it was. But the Jets matched up with them so well, and they just got that momentum. I think if they could play Minnesota in the first round, or whoever, not Colorado, I think that will get them going, get some momentum in the playoffs going, and change their mindset. So I think they can if the matchup is good. So that means actually that they're not constructed well to make a run.
Yeah.
It depends on the matchup.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, obviously, there's still close to half the season still to go. They'd match up with Calgary in the first round.
But, okay, they just lost to them, but I'd take them.
Or Vancouver. Vancouver is also there, or St. Louis. So, but yeah, they just throttled Vancouver a week or so ago, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they played better than Calgary. They kind of got goalie by Dustin Wolf there. So,
this playoff thing got me so confusing. So they can play Calgary or Vancouver in the first round?
If they finish first, they'll play a wild card team, right?
See, I always thought it's the wild card team within the division. I thought it was 1, 4, 2, 3 in the Central because Gary Bettman loves his rivalries.
No, that's where it doesn't make sense, right? Because the rivalry of them playing the Pacific Division is not really there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because
but that's the way it is. They could end up playing any team from the Pacific, really. Yeah, because 2 teams from either the Pacific or even 2 teams from the Central could be those wild card teams, right?
That's weird. I always thought it was 1, 4, 2, 3 within your division.
No.
Shit. I've been so confused by these NFL formats since they changed overtime. I've not given a damn about formats. Stupid. They still can't figure that out. Overtime is such trash.
It's still bad.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. If you score touchdown, game's over anyways. Oh, actually, no, in the playoffs, it's not. In the playoffs, it's not anymore. Just regular season. So they both get a chance in the playoffs no matter what.
Logic in the NHL. I'm done. Oh my goodness. In your opinion, should the Jets add Jonathan Toews?
You know what? Just because of their center depth, I would say yes. But otherwise, I'm also saying no because I don't know what kind of game shape or playing shape this guy will be in after not playing for so long. And really, is he going to come in the last 20 games of the season and get into enough shape and into the playoffs to be the player that the Jets would need him to be? So I would say maybe in the offseason, if you're going to look at things, go for it there. But right now, I don't even know if I would be good with it.
No, I'm good without it. It'd be a great story. Obviously, born in Winnipeg, but he's been off for how long now? COVID?
Since pretty much COVID. I think he came back for a bit after COVID.
He took the COVID year off because he had that immune system problem.
Yeah, just after. Yeah, so he hasn't really played much, say, in the last 4 years, 3-4 years. So
I don't see what the benefit is. I don't see what the benefit is.
No.
Sorry. The story again would be great, but no. Benny, you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Good to be back. Don't forget to check us out on social media and have a good week.
And again, give us a like, smash that subscribe button. Go check us out on Facebook. We got the merch out. We got the R&B toques. We got the sweaters. We got the koozies. Folks are buying them, and we appreciate the support. We'd love to see some of those around town. So go ahead, check out our Facebook. Great prices. And in the words of Ed Whalen, in the meantime, and in between time, that's it. Another edition, and we're glad to be back, of Ray and Benny Talk Sports. I should do something like a toothpick, like Razor Ramon at the end. Ooh! Remember Razor? Just
oh yeah, that's fucking fantastic.
Hey yo.
That's
so good.
Oh, I miss that wrestling.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.